Hi, my name is Paul Grogan, and in this gaming rules video, I'm going to be giving you a rundown of everything that I got up to, pretty much, in November 2018. This is my monthly video log. Thank you very much to all of my Patreon supporters to help make this video possible. And I'm going to be doing something a little different in this video log. I've had some feedback on the previous format of my video logs, so I'm going to be moving things around a bit. The section of the video where I talk about all of my Patreon supporters and all of the new people who've come on board, I'm going to move that to later on in the video. I'm going to start off by talking about all the games that I've been playing, and I'm going to try to explain a little bit more about each one. Now, I'm not going to be doing a full review of all of the games that I talk about, but I am going to be doing, well, I'm going to be talking for a little bit more about each one of them. So let's have a look at the list and see what we've got going on. Now, at the start of November, I did my first Friday games night of November. 2nd of November, we played Blackout. 5 people turned up. 2 people played Lincoln, the new Martin Wallace 2-player game from PSC, and 3 of us learned how to play Blackout, which I was super excited about. For those people who know, my plan at Essen was to pick up Blackout from Eggertspiel or Plan B on the Wednesday and then play it on the Wednesday night. Now, that didn't happen because the game hadn't arrived in time, but suffice it to say that Blackout Hong Kong was one of my most anticipated games that was coming out at Essen, mainly because it's designed by Alexander Pfister, and he's one of my favourite designers, and he does games that are fantastic. So, 3 of us sat down to learn how to play the game and then play the game from the rulebook. Now, I know some people have opinions on that and say you should never do that at a games night. One person should go away and spend their time learning how to play and do a practice game and watch videos and read all of the FAQ, and then they should turn up and teach other people. Well, that's not how we do things sometimes, because we all wanted to play it, nobody knew how to play, and we don't have time sometimes for people to do that. So we sat down, we learned how to play from the rulebook. I'm happy to say that the rulebook for the game, apart from one small section which could have been a little bit ambiguous, apart from that, the rulebook was okay, and we were able to learn how to play from the rulebook. And subsequently, speaking to people and having played it again since, I think we played it pretty much okay. So I am due to be doing a full review of Blackout Hong Kong later on this month, so I won't spoil it too much. But what I will say is I think the gameplay is very solid. I think that the card mechanism is very clever. I like the way that works, but I think the game is let down by awful graphic design. Now, art in a game can be subjective. You know, some people can say that artwork is really good, and other people can say that artwork is not very good. I don't like the artwork in the game, but putting that aside, the graphic design in the game, I think, can be subjectively bad or objectively bad. I always get those two words mixed up. Anyway, it's just bad. The icons are so similar. There's white text on a yellow background with the dice. I mean, the game is very dark, and I get that, okay? And I've no problem with the game being dark and the board being black, but the iconography is just really awful, and it's really hard to tell them apart. And most people that I know that have played it have had issues with the colours. So gameplay really good, game really good, graphic design really awful. And it's a real shame because it does let down a good game. Anyway, that was Blackout Hong Kong, which I again played a week or so later. So I played that twice in November. Then, after a very, very long break, our Gloomhaven group got together. Now, for one reason or another, mostly down to me, our Gloomhaven group has not met up for months. And finally, we got together again in November, and we picked up from where we left off. So we were in the middle of a quest chain, which was one of our players, Sally. It was her personal quest. She had to do a certain thing, and then that unlocked a certain thing, and then she had to do this, and then she had to do this. We were on the last part of that. We completed the scenario, which means her character is now over. It's retired, and she's now got a new character. I can't remember the scenario number it was. Apologies for that. But it was... We found the scenario a little bit too easy. Now, we're at the stage where we're all level, I think we're all level 6 or 7. And I've heard from a lot of people that as your levels get higher, the game gets easier. Now, the scenarios should scale in difficulty as you go up. But I have heard from a number of people that at the higher levels, the scaling isn't quite enough. And we found that scenario a little bit too easy for us. Now, the last few times we've played it, we've played on difficulty setting +1. And we've still succeeded, and we've found that a good difficulty setting. Because we hadn't played for so long, we decided to set it at the normal difficulty setting while we all relearnt how to play. But we will be going back to +1 next time, because we did find it just a little bit too easy. And although we don't want an extreme challenge, and we don't want it to be super difficult, it did feel like we'd completed it relatively easy. So we've all really enjoyed it. It's good to get back into it, playing it again later on this month, and yeah, hoping to get it back into being a bit more regular. Right, next, Wednesday night at the Columpton Games Group. So the Columpton Games Group is generally aimed at lighter gamers. We have a number of people who attend the club who are either brand new to gaming or relatively new to gaming. So some heavier games do get played there, because normally there is enough for 3 groups. So Mark will be there playing some heavy games, or Paul will be there, and what I do is I tend to play the lighter, more gateway games with other people who are relatively new to the club. As such, on that Wednesday, I played, I taught a few people how to play Ticket to Ride Europe, and then I played a quick 2-player game of Ingenious, and then I played a couple of games of Dragon Castle. I've done a review of Dragon Castle earlier on this year. For me, it's a great game. I mean, it's a gateway game, definitely for me. It's perfectly suitable for families. I've talked about it many times before, but I always enjoy playing it. It's really nice. It's not too complex, but I believe it does have something in there for gamers as a shorter, lighter game. So that's Dragon Castle. Then, 10th of November, I ran a Keyforge pre-release tournament. Asmodee were very generous, and they sent me through 8 packs of cards for me to run a pre-release tournament. And in exchange for that, basically, I would create a video of the event, which is what I did in the following week. So I gave up basically 2 days of my paid work to create this video for them, for them to use for promotional materials. It's on my website as well, so if you want to see what happened. But basically 8 people turned up. It was a sealed deck tournament. They all opened their decks, and we did a round robin tournament. So everybody played everybody else, which meant everybody got to play 7 games of Keyforge during the day. We had a leaderboard which was going, and then the top 2 went through to the final. So in my video, you will see the results of the tournament. You will see the final game as a playthrough using my top-down camera filmed in this studio. And you'll also get an interview with all of the people in the tournament. So if you're interested in that, go and check that out. Then on the 15th of November, I invited Mark over because I really wanted to learn how to play Underwater Cities, because everybody had been saying how good it was. And again, it's a game that I'm due to do a full review of later this month, so therefore I need to play it a few times. So Mark came over, and the 2 of us learned how to play, again, from the rulebook. So we sat down, we got the game out, and we learned how to play from the rulebook. Again, the rulebook was enough for us to learn how to play. I made 2 rules mistakes during that game, which, having gone back to the rulebook afterwards, were clear in the rulebook. So it was just a case of I was reading it so fast that I missed a couple of things in there. I forgot that you were limited to 4 A cards, and also I forgot that you draw 3 new cards from the new deck every time you change era. It didn't severely affect the game. The game played absolutely fine, and we both really enjoyed it. So that was a 2-player game of Underwater Cities. The rulebook, again, it's pretty good. It's fairly long-winded. It does go over things in a lot of detail, but better that than leave some things ambiguous. On the Friday afterwards, so the day after that, I played Underwater Cities. So some friends came over, they wanted to play. I just learned how to play, so I wanted to teach it so that I've had practice teaching it. And I played 3-player game of Underwater Cities, which I really enjoyed. Then I played Futuropia in the evening. So speaking of learning how to play games from the rulebooks, and the rulebooks being pretty good that we were able to play the game successfully, it's not the case with Futuropia. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Futuropia. I really do like the game, and I've played it 3 times in November already, and I want to play it more. But the rulebook is not so good. There's a few fairly major parts of the game which are just not really explained, and there's one part in particular about the use of the word unoccupied, which it doesn't actually mean unoccupied, because unoccupied means something else. So we played the first half of the game incorrectly because of what was written in the rulebook. Yeah, it's not so good. The rulebook needs a little bit of work, but thankfully the game is pretty good. And again, it's another one that I'm doing a review of in December, so watch this space. Now, Saturday the 17th, we finished Detective. For those people who have been following my video logs, you'll know that I've been playing through the cases in Detective, and this month we finished the final case, Case 5. I'm not down to do a full review of Detective, but I have been talking about it in my last 3 video logs, so you've kind of got an impression of what I think about it. And it's very difficult for me to say, because I love the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. I love that style of game. And the overarching story, or overarching story, whatever you want to call it, I really did like. It's not so much of a spoiler because you find this out right at the start of Case 1, but you're dealing with something that happened in World War II and there's a backstory about it. And you're trying to tie that up to events that are happening now. And the whole backstory of things that happened in the past. And then you start investigating things that happened in the 70s and then in the 80s. And you're pinning together this big story about how all these characters fit together. And they are all interconnected. I enjoyed that part of it. A number of people have been very critical about the game, saying that the writing is terrible. The writing, to me, isn't terrible. The writing is actually okay. There's just too much of it. There's too much flavour text. Every time you go in a building, you walk up 3 flights of stairs. Oh, it's a bit windy. You have a coffee. You eat a donut. You're waiting for the screens to refresh. Every single time you go to that location, you get fluff like that. The bits I didn't like about the game were, I didn't like the scoring system. I really didn't like the scoring system. Now, I don't bother with the scoring system in Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective because it doesn't really matter. I just play the game, we try and get the questions right, we try and learn as much as we can and go to as few places as possible. But, you know, and if we score 30 points or we score 70 points, it doesn't really matter. The scoring system in this one is similar. You get asked questions and then you get asked supplemental questions and then you get points based on how much stress you've got, which is basically every time you go to places beyond 5 o'clock each day, you get stressed. So the stress tokens are a measure of how much extra time you've used. So you lose points if you went to too many places, that's fine. But then you have this evidence matching, and I understand the evidence matching. I do understand it. Everywhere you go, if you find somebody's fingerprint, it gives you a code. You enter that code into the system. Great. Then somewhere else, if you find that person's fingerprint and you enter the code, it goes, oh, a match. Or if you've got a partial fingerprint, oh, there's an 80% match. So we think this is probably the same. Soil samples, DNA samples, all things like that have these codes and you put them in. And that's really cool. And we were doing that. And then you get to the end of the case and you've entered every bit of information, you've entered every code that you've found, and you answer all of the questions and you get every single question right and you're like, yay. And then you get 0 points out of 13 for matching evidence. And then it says case failed because you didn't get enough points. So it's not like these are bonus points. It's like these are necessary for the score. Now, I totally get, and Ignatius said this, you can have whatever theories you want and you can get points for the questions being right. But unless you have physical evidence to back up those theories, you're never going to be able to make an arrest. So it's thematic in a way that you can work it out yourself from talking to all of these people. Oh yeah, the butler did it. But unless you find the butler's blood on the murder weapon, you can't prove it. But the point is, we went to so many places. We stressed ourselves out to the max by going to all of the places we could. We got all of the questions right, yet, and we entered every single code we found, but still it gave us 0 out of 13. And that was on case 1. On case 2, we found 1 piece of matching evidence, so we scored 4 out of 12. Case 3 was odd. I really didn't like case 3. It's something very different. Case 4, we got 0 points on matching evidence. Really, really confusing. The other thing I didn't like as well is the supplemental questions. If you get them right or wrong, it kind of tells you, but then it doesn't give you an explanation. And because each case follows on one from the other, we did one of the cases and it relied on you getting one or knowing one of the answers to one of the supplemental questions. And we're like, but we got that wrong at the time and we didn't actually get told what the answer was. Now, when you go through the scoring for the main questions, it's great because it says, what was your answer? And then you get the report at the end and you're speaking to the boss and he said, well, you thought it was this. Well, nah, it wasn't actually that, it was this. So if you get it wrong, it tells you you're wrong and it tells you what it should have been. And that's great, but it doesn't do that for the supplemental questions. The worst part about the game for us, and I know I'm being heavily negative on it, but I would probably recommend it if you like that style of game, is we found most of the cases frustrating to play. We were playing them and we were frustrated because we were going this place, and then we went this place, and then we went here, and then we went here. And we spent probably 3 hours playing each particular case, and we went to loads of places. But we never felt that we were actually getting anywhere. It was just, oh, a bit of information there, which doesn't mean anything. Oh, a bit of information there. Oh, and a bit there. And one place did lead to the next because it said at the bottom, right, now you've been here, you can now go here and here. But we were just kind of blindly following. We didn't really know what was going on. We didn't really piece things together. And then we answered the questions at the end. And as I say, most of the cases, we got most of the questions right. But during the game, it was just, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we're going. We don't know who to speak to. We don't really know where we're going. It didn't really feel like we had much direction when we were playing it. But at the end, we did quite well on the scoring. And case 5 was a little bit of a letdown. And at the end of it, we sat there and we went, right, we've now seen the whole thing. We've seen the whole case. Can we actually piece things together? Can we work out why this person did that in case 3? No. And why was he doing this? Don't really know. So a lot of the overarching story was good. And when you got the answers at the end, it was like, ah, right, yeah, and then that, and that was really good. But there were some bits of it that we thought, well, why did he do that? You know, was it just, a plot hook to get us on to the next thing? But the parts of it we had difficulty piecing together. So anyway, I've talked a lot about Detective. If you like that kind of game, check it out, see what you think about it. And yeah, I know a lot of people have liked it. As I say, I enjoyed the experience sitting down with Vicky and my dad and playing through it. But yeah, we found some parts of it frustrating. Anyway, there you go. I've pretty much done a full review of that. Next. Speaking of disappointing games, Sunday the 18th, we played Discover, Lands Unknown by Fantasy Flight Games, Asmodee. It's a unique game. Like Keyforge, when you buy a deck of Keyforge, nobody else anywhere in the world will have that deck. Well, Discover, Lands Unknown is a unique board game in a box. Nobody else will have the copy of Discover that we've got. I don't quite know how they differ. I know there are 4 terrain types and we've got 2 of them. We've got the desert and we've got, what's the other one we've got? I can't remember. I'll have to have a look. But other people will have different terrain types. And even the people that have the same terrain type will have a slightly different game. But we were really, I was quite disappointed by it. It's very boring. It's very bland. It's a bit generic. The scenario was a bit, oh, go here, now collect 3 of these, now go there. Wasn't really much of a story, wasn't really narrative driven. Random tile turnover, random combat, random this. It was just a bit meh. Now the game comes with 5 scenarios. I am going to be playing more of the scenarios and seeing how I feel about it. I know lots of other reviewers have been really down on it and I don't want to jump on the bandwagon and say, oh yeah, well I'm disappointed as well. But I am. That's how we felt after the first game. It was all just a bit meh, really. So that's that. Right, Wednesday night, the next Clumpton group. Word Slam, always a great game at the start of the night before everybody's turning up. So play Word Slam. A game takes like 30 seconds or a minute. More people turn up, they join in. More people turn up, they join in. Oh, right, it's 10 past 7, everybody's here. Right, stop playing Word Slam and let's go and play some other games. That night, I taught Kingdom Builder, Cryptid, and I think one other that I can't remember, which I didn't take a photo of. And then I just played a couple of games of Keyforge with Rick. Rick won the Keyforge pre-release tournament. In fact, he won every single one of his games in the tournament, and then he won the final. He had an absolutely amazing deck, and he did play very well. He then took that deck home and played it with friends, and it won every single game. And then that Wednesday, I managed to beat him with a new deck, which I'd just opened and didn't know what was in it. So yeah, cool. I was really happy about that. So yeah, so that was a busy night for me, quite stressful because I was just, yeah, I think I taught 3 different games and then only had time really to play a bit of Keyforge myself. That week, so on the Monday and the Tuesday and the Thursday, me, Vicky, and my dad, we were testing Unlock 5. Now, Unlock Box 5 is 3 scenarios, like all of the other Unlocks, except for in America where they're releasing them as individual scenarios. So it's Insert Coin, which is an 80s style arcade machine game, a Sherlock Holmes themed one, and an Alice in Wonderland one. We really enjoyed the first 2. So Insert Coin and the Sherlock one, really enjoyed. Very clever, different types of puzzles, The game needed a few tweaks, which is why they got me involved. So I've hopefully fixed some little errors with those. The Alice one was really difficult. The first two, it says that the insert coin is difficulty level 1, Sherlock is difficulty level 2. We found them both roughly the same difficulty level. The third one, Alice, was for us way too hard. And I've spoken to Space Cowboys, and they're basically gonna add a lot of extra hints into it, and they've gone through all of the feedback that I provided. So what I'm telling you is my opinions of it before it's been printed. So don't take what I've said and gone, oh my god, the Alice one is way too hard. The Alice one was way too hard when we played it. And Rick, a friend of mine, he played it as well, and he thought it was also really, really hard. We fed that back to Space Cowboys, and they are taking that into account, and they are going to add some extra hints into it, and they're changing some of the text on some of the cards to make it a little bit easier, because I felt personally it was too hard, and that reduced our enjoyment. But the first two were really good. So I don't know when that's out, but yeah, this was the work that I did on Unlock Box 5. Right, what else have we got here? It was a busy month in November. Ding. Yes, that was next. Ding. Every year, around the end of November, I run a games weekend at my house, a 4-day games weekend. It's had a number of different names over this year, and this one, it was called Ding, which stands for definitely is not GridCon. Because it used to be called GridCon, but GridCon is actually going to be the name of my convention, which I'm going to be running in 2019. So it was important that I didn't call this one GridCon, so I've called this one definitely is not GridCon. 20 people came over, 4 days, played lots of games, didn't sleep very much, played a lot of good games. Here we go. Underwater Cities. Played it on the Friday. Great game, really enjoyed it. There you go. I don't need to do a review now, I've said it's a great game. Arkham Horror Living Card Game. Very, very, very disappointing because, right, me, Adam and Rob started playing the Dunwich Legacy in July. We played through Anyway, we started it. We played through the first 3 scenarios, I think. And then we said, look, let's put this away and let's continue playing it when we all meet together again at the end of November. So 5 months later, I've been really wanting to play this game for 5 months. I spent hours one night writing up our campaign notes so we knew where we are, rebuilding the decks of all the 3 players, getting really excited about it, was really, really looking forward to play it. And I died on turn 3. Right, okay. And then the others died on turn 6. Oh, right, okay, so shall we carry on? Rob was tired and went home. And to be honest, I was absolutely exhausted as well. So we put it away and we didn't play it again. And that's what was disappointing about it. Now that scenario is really, really hard. And one of the great things about the Arkham Horror card game is we failed that scenario. But you don't just replay it. The campaign evolves in a different way. Oh, you all died, right? I mean, we didn't die. We got sucked into a portal to another world and then got dumped back on the ground a few hours later. So you don't die. We were eliminated from the scenario. But one of the resolutions is, if all players were eliminated from the scenario, read this resolution. So our campaign evolved in that way, and then we'll carry on playing the next scenario. Except we were too tired, so we didn't do it. So I don't think I can wait till the next one to carry on playing Arkham Horror. So I think me and Rob are going to carry on that, because Adam's now bought his own copy of the game and he's already played through it all himself. So whereas me and Rob, it's all new for us. It was the Essex County Express was the scenario that we did. So anyway, that was Arkham Horror. The next day I did a video of Key Flow. So Richard Breeze's game Key Flow, which I'd already done a rules video for, Richard wanted me to do a teach and playthrough video of it. So Matt Evans from Creaking Shelves, Tom and Rachel from Slicker Drips, they came over, we sat in this studio and I filmed that. I haven't edited it together yet, but I did teach the game and then I played in it as well. More videos like that I want to be doing moving forward. So that was good practice for me, and watch out probably maybe later in December or January for that video to drop. But I did play that. Then in the afternoon we played Magnate, the First City, which is a game from James Naylor. James came over for the weekend, taught us how to play. Again, it's all filmed. James is going to Kickstarter with the game in February. And we filmed the game, A, because I wanted to play it so I can give James some feedback on the game, whether he likes it or not. But also, if he wants a playthrough video for the Kickstarter campaign, then we filmed it. It's all there. It's all ready to go. It will just take me a couple of days to actually edit it all together. But yeah, did that. Then I ran a Keyforge tournament. So just a very simple 8-player knockout tournament. So not round robin, just everybody plays. So round 1, and then the top 4 go through, the winners go through to round 2, and then the winner goes through to the final. And I won. Yay! So I won my first game, my second game, then I won the final. So yeah, I won the tournament. So that was good. I also played another couple of games of Keyforge on the Sunday against Paul Harris and beat him as well. So really enjoying Keyforge still. Played Trap Words on the Saturday night, which was good fun. Our team was winning. Then I went out to get everybody's food, and when I came back, found we lost. So, not my fault. Finally, on the Saturday, I just needed something, 30 minutes, quick, light, fun, before bed. Played a game called Tomato. I've rated it on BGG as a 1. And I don't rate many games on BGG as a 1, but in my opinion, this wasn't a game. It really defied, to me, and I know many people will disagree with me, but it's just not a game. So you roll a d3, and that tells you how many tiles you will turn over at the start of each person's round. And the tiles have words on them. And then in player order, you read out the words. And if you make a mistake, then you're out or something like that. And the words are all like Tom and Arto and Tomato and Ma. And basically you're reading it out and you're going tomato, tomato, marto, to, ma, Right, you've done it. Next one, add another tile. Next person reads it out. That's not a game. It's just, yeah, and it wasn't even fun for me. So I don't mind your 20, 30 minute fun games. I don't mind them at all, but this one, really didn't like that one. Right, moving on to the Sunday. AuZtralia. Really wasn't expecting to like this game. Did really enjoy the game. I have a video which has been uploading all day today to the library, 9.5 gigabytes. I've done a teach, playthrough and review video of it. In fact, that is probably going to go live before this goes live. But anyway, around that time, if you want to see what I thought about AuZtralia and get a teach of it and get a full playthrough of it, that video will be on my channel either now or soon. So that's AuZtralia. Then we played Magnastorm in the afternoon, and Magnastorm was one of our most disappointing games that we played over the weekend. The reason why is I played so many games that weekend that were all 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. Love them. You know, absolutely love them. Great games. Magnastorm wasn't up there. Therefore, it was disappointing. Not saying it's a bad game, but it just wasn't, wasn't as good as a number of the other ones that we played that weekend. Now, Magnastorm was also not what we were expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be a kind of 2.5 hour medium to heavy complex game, and it's not at all. If we'd have gone into it knowing that this is going to be it's a 1 hour light to medium game, we may have gone into it with a different mentality, but the look and the feel of it makes it feel like it's going to be heavier than it is. I now need to play it again. I am going to play it again, and I'm going to go into it with, this is a 45 to 60 minute light to medium game with an interesting action selection system and a way of scoring points, and accept it for what it is. As I said, it's not a bad game at all. I don't think there was anything wrong with the game. It just wasn't what we were expecting, and it wasn't as good as some of the other ones we played that weekend. So more on that later. I'll be playing it again, and it's another one that I should be doing a full review of. Sunday night, I played Forum Trajanum from Stefan Feld, Stronghold Games. That was my third game of it, and I absolutely love it. I'm not going to say that it's my favourite Stefan Feld game, just because it's new and it's exciting and all of that stuff, but Trajan is my favourite Stefan Feld game, and right now, this for me is better than Trajan. So, I don't know, I need to play that and Trajan next to each other. As I say, I might just be getting all hyped up and excited because it's new, but it's really good. Futuropia, I mentioned, I played it again. Thankfully, now that I know the rules, that game went a lot better. And then on the Monday, I played Coimbra, which I haven't played. yet. That was my first play of Coimbra, and it seems like everybody else has played it, and there's reviews everywhere, and there's videos about it everywhere, and everybody's playing it and everybody's talking about it, and I felt like I was getting a little bit behind on Coimbra because everybody else had played it, and a lot of people had said I'd really like it, and I did really like it, although I was struggling to stay awake because it was day 4 and I was exhausted. And I do want to play Coimbra again. So yes, very much enjoyed it. Thought I was doing quite well until the end when the other two raced ahead of me. Right, then what did I do? I went to Dragonmeet. So Dragonmeet was technically the 1st of December. So why am I talking about it in the November video log? Well, it was literally the 1st of December and I travelled to Dragonmeet at the end of November. So I'm going to include it. Now, Dragonmeet is a one-day convention in London at the Novotel in Hammersmith. It's traditionally, in the past, it's been a role-playing game convention. But those people, I think, who say, oh, it's a role-playing convention with the board games tacked on, I don't think that's fair. The room that I was in was 100% board games. I say that. I think a guy turned up in the afternoon with a big Lego thing that looked like a role-playing game, but I'm not sure. But apart from that, I was there demoing for Czech Games Edition. There were 3 tables with Asmodee, the best of Essen, with all their new games. Bez was there. Who else was there? James Naylor was there with Magnate. There was a few other people there. Yay Games was there. Playtest UK were there. There was a few other people there as well. Apologies if I've forgotten to mention you. And the room was packed all day, constantly being busy with people playing board games. And downstairs there was a number of board game exhibitors in the exhibition hall, in the trade hall. So yeah, there's a big RPG feel to Dragonmeet compared to most of the other, I think every single other convention that I go to, there is no role-playing games that go on really. Not counting UK Games Expo, which has got everything, but you know, your Manicons, your Midcons, your Handycons, your Baycons, they're board games and nothing else. So Dragonmeet is some role-playing and some board games, but I think that if you're a board gamer, it's certainly worth a day out in London. I was demoing for CGE all day, demoed Trap Words, Adrenaline, Pulsar, Pictomania and Codenames Pictures. Had an absolute blast. Came back on the Saturday night, which I still think was the right decision, so that I had all day Sunday at home. But boy, was I stressed rushing around. Oh, got to check out, and oh, I've got to rush for my train. Oh, I've got to get here. But yeah, so came home on the Saturday night. Thank you to everybody who I saw there. It was really good to meet some people and chat with some people and play some games with you. So that was Dragonmeet, and that is pretty much my November. Now, let's go on to the Patreon. November was a good month for the Patreon. And I'm hoping this trend continues because I'm trying to make my next goal, which is to do more playthrough videos. So thank you very much to everybody who supported me in the month of November. I'm hoping you didn't just do so because of the monthly contest, but I'll find out when people start leaving. Anyway, so new executive producers, 2 new executive producers, Brett Hart and Philip Millman. Thank you very much to both of you for coming on board as an executive producer. And 3 people who have upgraded their pledge from producer to executive producer, which is Chris Inkow. Thank you very much, Chris. Kim Dahl-Rathleff and Tony Simpkins. Thank you very much to all of you for upgrading your pledges. That bit of extra money really does help hopefully meet the next goal soon. A number of new producers have come on board as well. So Andrew Mason, thank you very much, Andrew. Ben, I don't have a surname, I just have Ben and an email address. So it could be anybody. Well, probably somebody called Ben. Brian Richards, thank you very much, Brian. Cliff Fisher, thank you, Cliff. Cyril Turcuit, now it's a French name, so I've probably pronounced this wrong, and I should have practiced it before. Cyril Turcuit, it's Tircuit. So thank you very much, Cyril. I should have just said Cyril. Emma Edwards, thank you very much, Emma, for your support. Next one is G. I don't have anything other than G and an email address, so thank you very much. Julie McBride, thank you very much, Julie, for coming on board. John Holmes, and I said that with a kind of radio, because I listened to John Holmes on Radio 4. I assume it's not the same John Holmes. But if it is, that would be really cool. Not that it isn't cool that John Holmes, the real John Holmes, is supporting me, but you know what I'm saying. I kind of said that, like they introduced John Holmes on the... I'm rabbiting on again, aren't I? Right, Luke O'Rafferty, thank you very much, Luke, for your support. Mark Kirkwood, thank you. Nicholas Dunlop, thank you, Nicholas. Paul Bolton, Rob Crosby, Sean Wilson Mace, Simon Angerholm, and Stephen Grant. Thank you all, new producers. Come on board. As I say, it's been a really good month, and thank you to all for supporting me. 5 people have also upgraded their pledge to producers, which is Vitaly, thank you. Dave Moser, Douglas, Jacob and Louisa Berry. Thank you very much to all of you who have upgraded your pledge to producer. All of these extra people, it is motivating me even more to make more Patreon content. Now, one of my Patreon goals at $1,000 was, when I make $1,000 a month, that will now effectively cover the amount of time that I'm spending creating Patreon content, okay? And it did for about 5 minutes, because then what's happened is all these new people have come on board and I've had all of this extra support from everybody, and it's motivated me to create more and more Patreon content. So I've been diverting more and more time towards it, and therefore it's back to not paying for its time again. But at the moment, I don't care. I'm enjoying doing this. The Patreon thing has been a very roller coaster ride along the way, but in the last couple of months, I've really come to appreciate it. Not that I didn't appreciate it before, but I've really come to realise that this is more what I want to be doing. And if we were to say in a year's time, if I stopped doing commissioned work and my Patreon campaign was so successful that I would stop doing commissioned work and just spend all my time doing Patreon content, that's what I'd do. It's not going to happen. And to be honest, I like doing the rulebook editing sometimes. Anyway, some extra thanks to people who've backed at lower levels. Kareem, Board Game Minimalist, thank you very much for your support and good to chat to you on Saturday at Dragonmeet. Hoot McToot, thank you very much. I'm sure that's not your real name, but if it is, that's cool. But thank you very much. Martin Taffner, Seth Kitson, and Jeff Engelstein. I've been a fan of Jeff's for years, so it's great. Thank you very much, Jeff, for your support. So the contest. So if you were supporting me on the 1st of December, then you got entered into a contest. And I'm going to go over to the computer now and we will do the draw to see who wins. So here's all of the Patreon supporters listed here. Executive producers are listed 3 times, producers are listed once, and we use the random number generator to see who's won. So let's scroll up, and it's the Sandbox Games database, which is a friend of mine, Dan Wiseman. So congratulations, Dan. So, Dan has won the contest. Now, Dan is a friend of mine. I've known Dan for many, many years. He runs the Sandbox Games database, amongst other things, which is a website, which is basically for people who like sandbox-style computer games, which is one of the things that he really loves, and I quite like them too. But anyway, Dan has won the contest before. About 7 or 8 months ago, Dan was picked as the winner of the contest when I think I had Signoria to offer. And Dan said, no, I'm not playing many board games at the moment. Give it to somebody else. So I said, oh, okay. So he's already won the contest once. So when his name came up this time, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll contact him and see what he thinks. Because Mage Knights might be a different style of game. And I think Dan said he's going to start, he's based in London now. And I think he's going to start playing more games with his friends. So I contacted him and I said, Dan, Mage Knight, have you played it? And he said, yeah. And I said, and did you like it? He said, yeah, I really liked it, yeah. I said, well, you've just won the contest. And he was like, wow, great. So this time, Dan has accepted his prize, and so he should. Congratulations, and thank you very much for your support over the years. And I'll be getting that off to you. Now, the contest for next month is 2 games. And they're still in shrink wrap, so I don't know if the glare from the camera is going to show them up. So Tulip Bubble and Liberatores, if that's how you pronounce it. So these are from Mo Ideas that are supporters of mine. So thank you very much to Mo Ideas for contributing these games. And basically, on the 1st of January, or possibly the 2nd, but basically, at the end of this month, if you are a supporter of mine on Patreon, you will get entered into the draw and you could win these 2 games. If you're in the UK, great, I'll bring them to a convention, but I will get these to you somehow, wherever you are in the world. I don't quite know how, but we will see. Anyway, so that's those 2 games. It's not the reason why people support me on Patreon, but it's just a little bit of a thing that I like to do, give something back. So that is the next contest. Right, let's move on to things that I have done in this month content-wise. So I did Podblast 8. It was a little interview with Jackson Pope. He's a UK games designer. He's got a game on Kickstarter right now, which as of now still hasn't funded. So please check it out. I'm not saying go and back it because it might not be your kind of game, but please check it out. Support independent UK games designers. That's Flick Fleet, Jackson Pope. Quick interview with him. That was Podblast 8. I did a how to play video for Luna from Tasty Minstrel Games. I was really happy when Tasty Minstrel approached me because Luna is one of my favourite Stefan Feld games. So them asking me to do a rules video, I'm like, well, I already know how to play. I've already taught it a bunch of times. So in theory, this should be a relatively easy video to make. It still took me the usual 40 hours, but I did that. Now, Tasty Minstrel Games have been very, very clever because I kind of have a policy in that any game that I'm professionally involved in, like I did the rulebook, or I did the how to play video, or I was a developer on the game, or anything like that, then I won't do a review of it, and I won't really give my personal opinion on it. I do break those rules sometimes. But Tasty Minstrel have been clever, because I've already done a review of Luna. That's already on my channel. So I've broken my rules, but only because when I did the review of Luna, I had nothing to do with it. So that was my personal opinion of the game, but it was a little odd on the Kickstarter page to see, here's Paul Grogan's how to play video for Luna, and then later down, here's Paul Grogan's review of Luna, him telling you how great a game it is. And I'm like, I kind of didn't want to... Anyway, yeah, so I did that. I did a how to play video for Luna from Tasty Minstrel Games. I finally got the Madeira review done. Speaking of games which I'm professionally involved in, I had nothing to do with Madeira. I wasn't working for What's Your Game at the time. And Madeira, I think, is an amazing game. My Patreon supporters voted on it as being one of the games they wanted me to review, so I did. The Keyforge video that I mentioned earlier on, I did the Keyforge tournament with the interviews of everybody, and that video went up. So content-wise, that's not very much, considering what I normally do. But a lot of preparation has been going into plans for December. Right, so in December, I have 8 reviews coming. Forum Trajanum, Blackout Hong Kong, AuZtralia, mentioned that earlier on, that video's done. Reichhold, not even played it yet. Underwater Cities, played 3 times. Futuropia, played 3 times. Magnastorm, played once. Coimbra, played once. So, Forum Trajanum and Blackout, Underwater Cities, Futuropia. Probably need to play Futuropia once more with some variant rules, because the game comes with a whole bunch of variants. Other than that, I'm comfortable knowing enough to do a review of them. The other ones need to play more. Reichhold, I definitely need to play once before doing a review of it. Other things I'm planning for December, I will, by the end of this year, touch wood, do my top 5 games of the year video. But what's going to be funny, well, I think it's funny, is it's going to be my top favourite games of 2017. I said I was going to do this back in March, and as those of you know, this year has gone wrong in many ways, and that kept getting delayed. But by the end of this year, I swear on this purple meeple, I will do my top 5 games of 2017. And then I'll probably, in January, do my top 5 games of 2018. Anyway, I'm doing the Trap Words video, so the official how to play video for Trap Words. I should be doing that this week. I'm doing a quick video for Folded Space. So Folded Space, for those who don't know, they make inserts. They are foam inserts, like the people who make their own foam inserts, but they're laser cut and pre-done, so you just put them together. Anyway, I'm just showing you 3 cardboard boxes at the moment, but I'll be doing a quick video on taking one out, what it looks like, how easy it is to put it together, and what it looks like afterwards. I'm probably going to be doing that next week, I think. The key flow video that I mentioned earlier on is all filmed. I just need to get the editing done. A couple of unboxings to do. Heroes of Terrinoth, I want to do an unboxing of that. Wildlands from Osprey Games, I want to do an unboxing of that as well. I will do another live Q&A before Christmas. And I'm going to try and do another podcast if I can. But there's a lot here. I may not get a chance to get everything done. And there's something else that I'm planning for December as well, which is top secret at the moment. So I won't talk about that. But that's what I've got planned for December. A quick thing as well, GridCon next year, 2019, it's taking a lot of time. There's a lot of discussions going on at the moment with the venue, the website. It's actually been more work than I thought at this stage. But once this stage is done, it will then be okay for a bit. And when the tickets go on sale, that, assuming the website works, that will be the easiest bit. But for those who don't know, next year I am organising 3 official events not being held at my house, which traditionally most events have been. I'm doing a one-day event for International Tabletop Day, 26th of April. I will be doing an event called Ting. This is not GridCon, in July, because I wasn't able to get the venue that I wanted, and it will just be a Friday and a Saturday. And then GridCon, actual proper GridCon 1, will be in November 2019. And yeah, I'm doing more work on that, so I'm having to take quite a bit of time out at the moment to sort out things for that. But I think that's everything. So if you've got any comments, any feedback, please let me know. I do these videos for you, for those people who are watching it. So if you like the video, let me know. If you didn't like the video, let me know. Let me know why. If there's anything you want to see in these videos, if you want more personal information, which I keep saying I'll do, but never actually do. But yeah, let me know. But thank you very much to everybody for all of your support. I'll see you again at the next one, which will be in January. So if you only watch my video logs, then have a good Christmas, or whatever your religious beliefs, however you celebrate it, have a good Christmas, New Year, break, whatever you do. I will see you in the new year for the next video log. If you do watch my other content, then I will be seeing you very soon. But until next time, take care, and thanks for watching. Gaming Rules is proudly sponsored by Game Toppers, upgrading your gaming experience. Visit GameToppersLLC.com.